Grayzone Warfare is an immersive first-person tactical shooter that you've probably seen all over your For You page, Twitter, and YouTube talking about the good and bad about it. You've probably seen a lot about the mixed reviews and kind of everything that's gone on with this game as it's launched into early access. Well, I've been able to play in an early playtest as well now as a full launch, and I can give my true thoughts and opinions on what I think is good, bad, and ugly about this game. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It means the world to me. We upload almost every single day here on the channel. And with that being said, guys, let's hop into today's video. Before we get into the list, I just want to say that we have to remember that this game is in early access, and I know that term has kind of lost its life over the past couple of years, but I just want to remind everyone that this game is meant to grow, and it's meant to bake in the oven as time goes on, and purchasing this game does directly help support those devs at the studio and their passion behind this. Madfinger has been so transparent about how they want to be a community-driven game and make changes amongst how the community would like to see it. So any issues and stuff like that, they will iron themselves out over time. And if you're one of those people that want to support them, purchasing the game does that in the best way. And if you're willing to grow with the game and understand that there will be some hiccups along the way, Grayzone Warfare will be a perfect purchase for you. If you're the type that like to hop into a game that is fully polished and ready to go, then I would hold off on purchasing the game outright. So starting things out, I'm going to talk about the things that I truly love about Grayzone Warfare, the things that have kept me compelled to come back every single time. And the first one, and the one that keeps me the most entertained when playing with my friends, has to be the engagements with not only other players on the map, but the AI. The AI in this game are intense, they are smart, and they will just uniquely play the game like any others. Now, are there moments where the AI kind of bug out and have their issues? Of course. But a lot of engagements, there have been moments where you truly feel like you're fighting against real-life players, and it keeps that immersion kind of there that you are playing against more strategic AI than other games that you might play. I've played plenty of games of like Tarkov and them where the scavs kind of just one-tap you in the head and feel just kind of random at times. They don't really know what they're doing there, where these AI kind of have a life to them and kind of, they feel like they fit in the world. Another amazing thing I want to talk about is the gunplay overall, whether it's the gun models, when it comes to how I shoot, the aiming, the sights, kind of how the ambient sounds happen, and then the gunfire in the distance happens, directional audio, all of that seems to be top notch. It's impressive, honestly, on such a large scale map that we have this crazy amount of detail to knowing where gunfire is happening, where moments are happening, and so much more. It just makes, again, for a complete immersion of the game. And speaking of map, I have to say, Lamong Island is probably one of the most beautiful, beautiful maps I have ever seen inside of a video game. And you have to remember that this map is revolving and staying alive 24/7. There are no raid timers, there is nothing. You may play this game at whatever pace you want to play it. That's something that keeps me captured. There have been raids that we've gone into that have taken an hour. There are raids that have gone into that have taken 2 hours. There are also some that have taken 15 minutes. The game is playable in any way possible, and I think that is the most unique thing about Grayzone Warfare overall. Tying in this immersive, crazy large-scale map with AI that it's definitely a lot smarter than any other game I've played has led to a replayability that a game for me hasn't had in a very long time. And mind you, I'm an arcadey FPS kind of guy. I'm not the biggest immersive fan. Now, do I enjoy tactical style games with my friends? Of course, it's a great way to bond with your friends and kind of connect with them in a different way, but this game has captured me and my friends in a way that nothing truly has in a long time. Extraction style games also have something called gear fear, and you probably know this as much as I do. New players have this horrible fear of losing their loot inside of the map. Well, Grayzone Warfare figured out a way to kind of tie all that together by allowing the map to be on 24/7. You can go back in and get your gear back at any time, and as long as no one found it or your teammates cover it and all that, it allows you to just pick up right where you left off. We actually had a hilarious encounter in our first game where my friend just one-tapped me in the back of the head, and I was able to just come back in, get my loot, and continue like nothing really happened. I'm crossing to the garage in front of you. I have many people talking on my right. On the garage, no. I'm dead. You just killed me.
Oh, that was you. Oh my god.
Now, mind you, I will keep that in the back of the mind that this man did do this to me, and don't forget that, Alex, if you're watching this. But I will say that gear fear has been kind of eliminated in this. Now, is there a high risk, high reward of going out in the field? Of course. But it's kind of less and tamed down a little bit because of this. Rounding off the final things here on the list, I want to say the quests are really fun. They seem to be more engaging, hinting at more things, and I'm not the type of guy that's going to Google or YouTube a quest guide to see how I'm going to do it. I want to immerse myself and figure out what is going on in the story and kind of get all of that tied together. Now, remind you, this is a game that is completely different than normal first-person arcade shooters. So if you're used to that, this is going to feel like a complete different game. It is slower paced, there's a full story to follow, and it just kind of feels like a Ghost Recon, if that makes sense, of some of those games that were open world MMO style games where you could just kind of go do whatever and just follow a storyline as it goes. And that's kind of what we've been doing. And I have to say, the quest, fun, extremely interesting, and just I'm excited to see how intense they get as we go along. Now for some of the things that I kind of think are okay, but kind of bad inside the game. Now, some of the animations for the AI, I think that they are amazing and smart, but there are times when you're fighting an AI that animations just are a little quirky at times, or things just kind of don't make sense. And now, obviously, that's something that can be fixed down the road. It's not a major game-breaking issue, but just one of those little nitpicky things that I think need to be adjusted. Another big one that me and my friends have talked about, I love the map, but I also think the foliage could be toned down a little bit, and that might also help with one of the ugly items coming up in performance. I think that the map has a lot of gorgeous features, but I also think that at times it's a little too much going on. Now, I know that they were going for that kind of crazy field and like island vibes, but I just don't get the best feel out of it sometimes when it comes to that. When you're in the cities and you're going through all that kind of stuff, it feels great. It feels fantastic. But when you kind of find yourself in the open, there are moments that feel a little Another one, now this could be me nitpicking a little bit. This isn't a bad thing or a good thing in any way. It's just kind of something I'd like to see, I guess, that you would put in the okay to bad category, is I'm a big fan of adding some kind of equipment that allows us to have our TAC map on the screen. And I'm saying equipment because I don't think a HUD needs to be entirely a thing that's on the screen 24/7, but an ability to have something attached to your player that you can quickly reference rather than just pulling up a map by pressing M. I think having something permanent would be pretty cool. I don't know how they would implement that, whether it's glasses or something to just kind of put it on there. This is Aaron thinking outside the box of a way to kind of help players understand who's in their faction and who's not, because not everyone checks their map, I've learned. We've run into some players that instantly want to engage and we're like, hey, we're all part of the same faction, so let's not do that. One more thing I'd like to put in the okay section of the good, kind of bad, leaning either way depending on what you go through, has got to be the healing system. I think the healing system is fun. I think it's unique. I think it's kind of intense in how it's done. It kind of takes that Tarkov-y feel, but simplifies it in a little bit of a ways. But there are moments where it could just be visual bugs or something going on where I will completely heal my character and, I have that all fixed. And then all of a sudden my friend will examine me and I have all these issues still that aren't showing on my screen, but they're showing on his screen. So could be a visual bug for him, could be a bug for me. I don't know what it would be, but that kind of rhymed. Straight bars right there. That was a good one. But I don't know. It's something that I would like to see fixed. I feel like the bad section is low on items that are bad, because I feel like the game has things that are really good and then there are things that are really bad, and not so much in the middle. They've hit the head on really good things, but they've also had the lows of lows. And speaking of bad, and really bad at that, is gotta be the optimization. Now, I don't have the highest NPC, but I do have a decent PC that can run most games at pretty high frame rates in 1440p and whatnot. It just seems that this game, I don't have issues running it, but I have to run on pretty low settings in order to get a reasonable to manageable frame rate. Now, if you go to the Steam reviews right now, you will see a whole different story. And I'm one to say this, if you're trying to run this game on like a 1060 or a 1080 or any of those graphics cards, it is 2024 and things are changing and graphics cards are becoming more intensive. But if you're like me or you're one of those people that's running a 30 series card and you're still having issues, that's where things in optimization for performance need to get a lot better. Of course, the game's in early access. It's been out only a fucking day, but things need to improve because you're kind of limiting a player base that is either CPU or GPU bound that can't play this game depending on their hardware. So maybe removing foliage or turning down shadowing, shaders, and all sorts of stuff. I'm not a game developer. I don't know exactly what you could do for that, but I don't want to leave out a crowd of people that might really enjoy this game because they're limited on their hardware in their PC. Another one that I really want to talk about is the faction locking. Faction locking, there should be at least an ability in the beginning of the game to allow you to reset your character in case they choose the wrong faction. Thankfully, me and my friends did not run into this. We all picked the same faction, but I had a couple people talk to me in streams in my Discord and a couple comments in the last video mentioning that they picked the wrong faction than their friends, and now they're stuck unable to play with them. That is got to be the biggest fucking bummer in the game. Now, I know it does say on the screen when picking, make sure you pick the right faction, but maybe there's people you didn't intend to play with that now you're going to play with, that you're linking up with, that just can't play together anymore. Or for me, other content creators who might have gone down a different path that want to link up for a stream or a content video down the road, and we can't play now because our factions are completely different. So that's something that I'd like to see them change, allowing to reset or maybe make a second character save or whatever it might be to allow us to play with the other factions if we want to switch to a different one. I think that's something that's a necessity because, again, you're limiting your player base in case they may make a fucking mistake and can't hop into the game. Another really, really bad one that we need to talk about is character models not appearing. They tried to do a hotfix for that earlier, but now it's even worse for me, in my opinion, is that we're having a ton of characters not have heads or bodies in some ways or arms sometimes. And when you're going up against other factions and seeing that issue happen, it is very enraging because I don't know if I'm fighting Casper the friendly fucking ghost or Castler the evil ghost. Like, it's one of those things that's kind of like a head scratcher and you wonder what's going on with it. And finally, one thing that I think I need to touch on because it has plagued not just me, but many of my friends, is server stability and crashing. Obviously, day one, I don't expect it to be perfect, but when you crash in the middle of a game after kind of in the middle of a gunfight, or if you just died or something and you want to try to return to your loot and the game crashes, you've now lost everything. And it's just a bummer to some people. My friend went through it 3 games in a row yesterday, where we had all our loot. He died, was trying to return to his loot, and the game crashed, inevitably ending up having him lose everything. And it's just kind of a big buzzkill for him, and I can see so many players going through that. So hopefully some server stability fixing coming soon.